Hi, Autry. My name is Anita Foster. I'm the Library Media Specialist at Autry Middle School in Kennesaw, Georgia. And today I am reading one of my favorite books. Now, I must admit, I have read this book many times for many years, and I have not read it in the last few years. So this is one of our banned books. We have it on our shelf. You can check it out and you can read it. But I used to read this every year when I taught elementary school to my students, and then we would watch the movie afterwards, and we would compare the book to the movie. Now, since then, they've made a new movie. So I have never seen the new movie. And here's why. I love the classic movie, and I will only watch the classic movie. Nobody does Willy Wonka like Gene Wilder, in my opinion. So you have probably grown up with the new movie. I am the classic girl. I like the old movie, and I always watch it after I read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So we do have this on our shelf. This has been banned in various different countries for various different reasons, but I love this book. Absolutely love it. And anybody who tells me I can't read it, I will argue with them because I think I can. So here we go. We're going to read the first chapter of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. These two, the first chapter is titled "Here Comes Charlie." These two very old people are the father and mother of Mr. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine, and it has a little sketch drawing of them. And these two very old people are the father and mother of Mrs. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina. And I'll show you theirs, but I'm going to try and block some of the other stuff because there's several pictures on here. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Bucket. And they're right here. And Mr. and Mrs. Bucket have a small boy whose name is Charlie Bucket. And there's Charlie, a picture of Charlie. This is Charlie. How'd you do? And how do you do? And how do you do again? He is pleased to meet you. The whole of this family, the 6 grown-ups, count them, and little Charlie Bucket, live together in a small wooden house at the edge of a great town. The house wasn't nearly large enough for so many people, and life was extremely uncomfortable for all of them. There were only 2 rooms in the place altogether, and there was only 1 bed. The bed was given to the 4 old grandparents because they were so old and tired. They were so tired they never got out of it. Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine on this side, and Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina on that side. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket and little Charlie Bucket slept in the other room upon mattresses on the floor. So I'm going to show you both of those pictures there. So 2 of them slept at this end and their feet went to the other end, and 2 slept at the other end and their feet went. In the summertime, this wasn't too bad, but in the winter, freezing cold drafts blew across the floor all night long, and it was awful. There wasn't any question of them being able to buy a better house or even 1 more bed to sleep in. They were far too poor for that. Mr. Bucket was the only person in the family with a job. He worked at the toothpaste factory, where he sat all day long at a bench and screwed the little caps onto the tops of tubes of toothpaste after the tubes had been filled. But a toothpaste cap screwer is never paid very much money. And poor Mr. Bucket, however hard he worked and however fast he screwed on the caps, was never able to make enough to buy 1/2 of the things that so large a family needed. There wasn't even enough money to buy proper food for them all. The only meals they could afford were the bread and margarine for breakfast, boiled potatoes and cabbage for lunch, and cabbage soup for supper. Sundays were a bit better. They all looked forward to Sundays, because then, although they had exactly the same, everyone was allowed a second helping. The Buckets, of course, didn't starve, but every one of them, the 2 old grandfathers, the 2 old grandmothers, Charlie's father, Charlie's mother, and especially little Charlie himself, went about from morning till night with a horrible empty feeling in their tummies. Charlie felt it worst of all, and although his father and mother often went without their own share of lunch or supper so they could give it to him, it still wasn't nearly enough for a growing boy. He desperately wanted something more filling and satisfying than cabbage and cabbage soup. The one thing he longed for more than anything else was chocolate. Man, do I know that feeling. Walking to school in the mornings, Charlie could see great slabs of chocolate piled up high in the shop windows, and he would stop and stare and press his nose against the glass, his mouth watering like mad. Many times a day, he would see other children taking creamy candy bars out of their pockets and munching them greedily, and that, of course, was pure torture. Only once a year, on his birthday, did Charlie Bucket ever get to taste a bit of chocolate. The whole family saved up their money for that special occasion, and when the great day arrived, Charlie was always presented with one small chocolate bar to eat all by himself. And each time he received it on those marvelous birthday mornings, he would place it carefully in a small wooden box that he owned and treasure it as though it were a bar of solid gold. And for the next few days he would allow himself only to look at it, but never to touch it. Then, at last, when he could stand it no longer, he would peel back a tiny bit of the paper, wrapping at one corner to expose a tiny bit of chocolate, and then he would take a tiny nibble, just enough to allow the lovely sweet taste to spread out slowly over his tongue. The next day he would take another tiny nibble, and so on and so on. And in this way Charlie would make his 10-cent bar of birthday chocolate last him for more than a month. And I'm going to show you the picture. And right down here in the corner where my finger is where he would take that tiny little nibble of chocolate. And it even says, a tiny nibble at a time. But I haven't yet told you about the one awful thing that tortured little Charlie, the lover of chocolate, more than anything else. The thing, for him, was far worse than seeing slabs of chocolate in the shop windows, or watching other children munching creamy candy bars right in front of him. It was the most terrible, torturing thing you could imagine. It was this. In the town itself, actually, within sight of the house in which Charlie lived, there was an enormous chocolate factory. Just imagine that. And it wasn't simply an ordinary enormous chocolate factory either. It was the world's largest and most famous in the whole world. It was Wonka's factory, owned by a man called Mr. Willy Wonka, the greatest inventor and maker of chocolates that there has ever been. And what a tremendous, marvelous place it was. It had huge iron gates leading into it, and a high wall surrounding it. Smoke belching from its chimneys, and strange whizzing sounds coming from deep inside it. And outside of the walls, for half a mile around, in every direction, the air was scented with a heavy, rich smell of melting chocolate. Twice a day, on his way to and from school, little Charlie Bucket had to walk right past the gates of the factory, and every time he went by, he would begin to walk very, very slowly, and he would hold his nose high in the air and take long, deep sniffs of the gorgeous, chocolatey smell all around him. Oh, how he loved that smell, and oh, how he wished he could go inside the factory and see what it was like. And there's a picture of him taking a whiff of the smell of chocolate. So, life story. My late husband lived in Hershey, Pennsylvania when we met, And I was there one time, and I got out of the car, and I went, somebody's making brownies. And then it hit me, no, I'm in Hershey. Somebody's making chocolate. Hershey is making chocolate. And it just smelled so delicious. So if you ever get to go up to Hershey, they have Hershey World. It's like an amusement park that you can go to, and you can go on this little tour, and it's called the Hershey World. And they have this little thing you can ride, and you can see how they make the chocolate. And it's really cool. I took my son this past summer, or the summer before last, because we were in lockdown this past summer before last, to see it. So we had a good time. But you can smell the chocolate in Hershey. So if you ever go to Pennsylvania, make sure you stop in Hershey. It always reminded me of this book, and it's one of my favorites, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And my late husband would even joke around that you don't see the employees going in. So he always wondered if it was Oompa Loompas in there. So, all right, Autry, I hope you enjoyed that first chapter read today. Have a great day.